evening to you on a very special night, because tonight it's the best of brass. The cream of the country's championship bands have been converging on the assembly rooms here in Derby for the last 7 weeks. By this stage, we've skimmed off the very top, leaving only the creme de la creme on a delicious menu of music about to be beautifully served up. The sour note is that it's all so deadly serious that the bands themselves just might lose their appetite. Because apart from the glory, there's a £1,000 prize riding on this final, and the two bands within reach of it come, one from the north and one from the south. The finalists, champions both of course, are Sunlife Stanshawe from Bristol, the West of England champions, and Hammond Source Works Band, carrying all the traditions of Yorkshire. Now, Stanshawe entered this arena at the start of the series, trumpeting that they would demolish the myth that top bands only come from Yorkshire. And while some of us did our best in rooting for a certain Northwest band, the Bristol outfit have so far swayed the path. Tonight, only Hammonds can stop the rot. And to add to this north-south attrition, there are these little goodies on the side. There's the Rose Morris Award, an instrument, whichever it may be, for the winning soloist over the whole series. There's a piece of Crown Derby china for the winning conductor, an engraved crystal decanter for the winning band, plus that £1,000. Well, all this honour and booty, not beauty, lies at the disposal of our adjudicators, two men not to be disturbed at all by war between North and South, Bill Relton, General Manager of the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and Colonel Trevor Sharp of the Royal Military School of Music. And the job of giving his band that final push falls to their travelling supporter, still almost keeping his cool, Gwyn Richards of BBC Bristol.
I'm glad you said almost. It's been a marvellous experience for me to come to Derby to watch these bands competing against each other, and to have had the honour of bringing with me all the good wishes and the hopes of the West Country for the success of the Sunlife Stanshawe Band. And now we're in the final. Well, you see, compared with some of the great names of the North, this West Country band are babes in arms. But I remember once having the privilege of sitting in the hallowed old band room of the Black Dyke Mills Brass Band. Now, they aren't here tonight, more's the pity, because Stanshawe would have only been too happy to thrash them as well. Seeing the citations and the honours and the championship awards which cover the walls, now there was a real sense of history and values there, if you ask me. Now, my band was only formed in 1968, but they've sallied forth from their band room in Bristol to all the major competitions and come home heaped with glory. And I have a message for their opponents tonight, all right, chaps? It's a friendly warning, and strangely enough, something I noticed in the Black Dyke Mills band room framed on the wall. It said, if you want to know how much the world will miss you when you've gone, roll up your sleeve and stick your hand up to the wrist in a bucket of water, and then when you take it out, see what kind of a hole you leave behind. Get the message, chaps? Right, well, let's join Brian Howard on the rostrum as he takes the Sunlife Stanshawe Band into their finals night programme. And they start with all the excitement of the American three-ring circus, a quick march, Belford's Carnival. see, a little bit of Stanshawe magic. Belford's Carnival, a piece the band liked very much when they made a record for the American market. Now, apart from their deep and careful preparation for this competition, the Sunlife Stanshawe Band naturally hopes that one of their soloists will also take the top award tonight. It's the turn now of Graham Cobley, formerly Principal Euphonium in the National Youth Brass Band. Now, we're keeping the American connection for an arrangement by Elgar Howarth, who, oddly enough, was also there that night I was with the Black Dyke Mills Band. Now, this piece uses what they call the bottom half of the Stanshawe Band only, for that timelessly beautiful air by Stephen Foster, Jeannie with the Light Brown Hair. Beautiful. Jeannie with the Light Brown Hair, euphonium solo by Graham Cobley, affectionately known in the band, I understand, as Cobblers. Now, it was that other great West Countryman, Sir Francis Drake, who said, and I quote, "We have plenty of time to finish this game and thrash the Hammond Source Works Band as well." Yes, I know he's been widely misquoted as referring, in fact, to the Spanish Armada, but the story does reflect the calm fortitude with which we have prepared for this final. I say we, because I feel part of the band now. So the young Stanshawe Band finished their programme with just the right touch to make their claim to this title tonight indisputable. You'll hear all your favourite melodies, including a drunken trombone player in this marvellous Gordon Langford composition, What Else But a West Country Fantasy.
Yes, and in fact, Stanshawe's West Country fantasy is that they'll take our title and all our booty back to Bristol with them on the way to their dream of becoming the best band in the world. Now, in Northern eyes, that is pure fantasy, and in Yorkshire eyes, it's no dream, it's a nightmare. Remember, won't you, that Stanshawe are comparatively upstarts. They've reached their incredible standard in 10 short years. Up north, in the real brass band strongholds, that's hardly time to let the ink dry on the registration forms. And many of the bands up there, of course, have played through at least a century. Well, tonight, all that tradition and pride is on the line, and Hammond Source Works Band are very conscious of it. So is their supporter, who's down here all the way from Leeds, just to make sure that nothing's bungled. Barney Colohan.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Gerald, because we've travelled a long, long way through this competition to reach the final slopes of which I would call a brass mountain. And the summit is clearly in view. And in a very short time, we shall know which of the two bands has reached that summit and become the best of brass in 1979. Now, naturally realising the importance of the occasion, Hammond Source Works Band have chosen numbers which will appeal to all tastes. None of them are in serious vein, but also realising that only the best will do in a final programme, we start with a march, and it has a very apt title, Quality Plus. It's surprising how certain tunes are always immediately associated with certain people. White Christmas being Crosby, My Way, Frank Sinatra. And as soon as you hear the next tune, I know you will remember first the tune, and then when you hear Stranger of the Shore, you will think of course, Acabilk. Well, tonight it's arranged for soprano cornet, and it's played by Steve Fielden. during this competition there has been almost 100 pieces played, but we think that this last one is one that you will remember for a very long time. You may identify it in a variety of ways. It really is the battle hymn of the Republic, but sometimes it's called John Brown's Body, sometimes Glory Hallelujah, and even another time it's They Were Only Playing Leapfrog. But the tune is traditional, and in 1862 the words were written by Mrs. Julia Ward Howe. Now, she was a poet, but also she was a pioneer for women's lib and an inventor, if that's the right word, of Mother's Day. While staying in Washington, the opening line came to her in her sleep. "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." And the following day she completed the text and part of American history was made. Now tonight history might be made again by Hammond Sourceworks Band, proving that they are the best of brass by their deeply moving and inspiring playing of the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Glory, glory, hallelujah indeed. And while we wait to see which eyes see which glory, let's remind ourselves of some of the glorious solos we've had in this series. Peter Skellen, who's been entertaining us, of course, every week, is here with us tonight to pick the winner from moments like these. And sort that lot out. Peter, who wins that instrument?
It's only recently that my father has stopped asking me when I'm going to get a proper job. And saying things like, when I'm explaining about a television show I'm doing or a recording, saying, but yes, are you working though? And although he says it in jest, he says it without a smile, and there's a little element of truth in what he says, because it reminds me when you're listening to soloists here that these chaps actually do a day's work as well as playing as well as they do. It tends to humble one slightly. If I talk in general about the performance of solos, most of the soloists were very good, but I find that one or two weren't really up to it, and I don't think it was their fault. It surprises me what a solo in a concert would go down very well. They put them forward for a competition, and I don't think one or two of them are ready for it. Also, I find it odd is the choice of solo on some of them, because it makes it difficult for the soloist in the first place. For instance, one of them was such a static tune, the soloist was fighting that all the time and couldn't actually do anything, couldn't play music because of the tune. Another one was like a benefit for the percussion section with a euphonium accompaniment. And another, or several others, really are just an exercise in agility. I went for the musicianship rather than for the just pure technical display. And the winner, we now agree, is David Williams.
Delighted David Williams of the Stanshawe Band will be given then the solo award of a tenor horn. Now though, from the solos to the duo, our two judges. Your final summing up please, Bill Relton.
Gerald, these have been two very, very fine bands putting forward their very best wares for this evening's performance. We found that nerves played a considerable part in the success of each band's performance. Those unfortunate moments when players' lips dry slightly and notes don't speak. But if I may address a word to Sunlife Stanshawe, gentlemen, it's terribly important at the very beginning of the programme not to be distracted by anything. You must concentrate your whole energies on the conductor. Unfortunately, the very first note which you played suffered slightly from a lack of ensemble. What did you think about that, Trevor?
Well, indeed, yes, but it's only one note. It was that the initial chord, but they soon got into their tremendous style that they've shown throughout this particular series, producing very clean lines, absolute clarity right from the soprano down to the lowest note of the percussion. I'd rather like that lovely march with lots of zip and charisma,
yes,
and some very good balance in trombones and trumpets, cornets.
Yes, it was a very fine march. It was a very detailed performance, and the balance, as Trevor has quite rightly remarked, was excellent. It also showed the band's tremendous dynamic range, which was also shown when you played the West Country Fantasy at the end. It was a great joy to hear a band which can play the difference between mezzo forte and mezzo piano, because this isn't often easily achieved, and to reserve the fortissimo for the really important events.
Yes, it's such a good arrangement, Bill, isn't it? And I thought they captured every nuance in that. They had one fortissimo, and you heard it.
That's right.
And I thought, in fact, the finish of it was really tremendous sustaining power.
Yes.
And very good tone again.
It was. With Hammond's, of course, this is a very, very round-toned band with a rather predominant style of the accented playing of traditional brass band music. It was shown off at the best, of course, in the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which they played at the end. It came rather too often to the fortissimo, really to be a complete exposition of what the band, I felt, could do in the way of dynamic range, Trevor.
Well, probably it was a marriage of two things, actually. I thought it was going to finish a lot earlier than it did, through that point, actually. I thought they just put a few eggs into their basket, too many eggs into the basket before they should have done, really.
Yes.
And they hit the high spots before they actually got to that lovely chord at the end. But it was very well played. I think we had problems that you were talking about, tenacity of tone in the solo item. The opening march was very good, nice style. It's got slightly ponderous in the middle, but it was a very goodish sound.
Yes, I think it's fair to say that we can congratulate the both the conductors tonight on the very sensitive accompaniments they gave to both of the soloists.
Yeah. It's the old story. I know it's a hackneyed cliche, but a band is as good as its bandmaster, and we had two very good bandmasters this evening, so we had two very good bands. And I think it's about time, Bill, that you gave Gerald the marks, don't you?
Yes, with one proviso, that the marks are entirely on what we have heard in the performance this evening. They're not prejudiced by any of the earlier rounds, and this is not in any way associated with the band's status or its position in the brass band world. On the performance we have heard this evening, we have given Sunlife Stanshawe Band 97 points, and we've given Hammond Source Works Band 96 points.
So Stanshawe take the title, and that Northern Honour, well, it's savaged. But what about next year? There'll be some more Best of Brass then. We'll see. Till then, good night.